On this week's Wednesdays with Willa podcast, I'll be sharing my thoughts and musings regarding blessings, how to prepare for blessings, receive blessings, and after blessings, giving gratitude. In this thankful time of year, it's wonderful to gather together on a spiritual level to understand energetically how we connect with our blessings best. So I'll be sharing the video from a couple of days ago that I did of a lecture for the Church of Living Spirit here in Lilydale. Wishing you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving.
So I'm so glad to be with all of you this morning as we prepare for Thanksgiving. I always am very aware of blessings year round, but I think it's nice that we do set aside a day that we embrace the thankfulness and we understand more, perhaps on a more deeper level, on a visceral level, a physical and spiritual level, that we have blessings. So yes, here in America, we're about to celebrate Thanksgiving. In Canada, they got it done early last month, right? But this is the holiday that's focused on feasting and gathering of family and friends, and most of all, giving thanks for our blessings. So what is your spiritual attitude toward blessings? Yeah, I love to hear that, because there are moments perhaps that you may have felt separate from your blessings, or you know someone who has felt that way. They felt that they are separate from divine supply and that they have a limiting belief that is holding them back from achieving those blessings. Perhaps they feel, or you have at some point have felt, that you are not a candidate for blessings, that for whatever reason you didn't deserve that blessing, or that couldn't come your way, it wouldn't be possible. And I've noticed over the years in my studying of blessings and how that works, that before we can ask for God's blessing with confidence, we need to have a clear understanding of what the word blessing means. Because when we hear bless, or bless you, or blessing, we hear it in church, right? In every church, we ask God to bless sneezes and journeys and endeavors. But have you ever wondered what goes into a blessing? There are parts and components to a blessing that once you understand some of the science behind a blessing, it makes it more obvious to you how to use that and to utilize it to its optimized level. So there's a pre, a during, and a post blessing. And I'm going to share my thoughts today with you and other musings that I have with this, hoping that it will help you or someone else connect the dots so that you can utilize blessings more thoroughly in your own lives. So to bless in the biblical sense means to ask for or to impart supernatural favor. I had to do it like that. You know I had to do it. Because that's how we think of it, right? Sometimes, or other people think of it. And when we ask for God's blessing, we're not asking for more of what we could get for ourselves sometimes. We're asking or crying out for the wonderful, unlimited goodness that only the divine has the power to know about. Do you hear that? That only the divine has the power to know about fully, or to give to us. And this is what is referred to in Proverbs. The Lord's blessing is our greatest wealth. There's a reason why that is put into the Bible. It's our greatest wealth, more than anything else that we could ever imagine. Therefore, we will seek God's blessings as the ultimate value in life. We are throwing ourselves into the river of his will and power and purposes for us, and all our other needs become secondary to what we really want, which is to become wholly immersed in what God is trying to do in us, through us, and around us. When you enter into a spiritual development path in an aware way, you start to understand those forces are at work. And you do have to throw yourself into that river and have faith. And I feel that God has provided for us a daily way of remembering to be part of blessings with the simplicity of table grace and how we connect in thankfulness for the nourishment of food, family, and fellowship. For some people, the prayer said at Thanksgiving may be the only prayer they say for table grace throughout the year, which is an amazing thought to me because it's such a regular part of my own life. But there's whatever it takes, right? But sometimes we need that remembrance that we can extrapolate the blessings and connections of the simple table grace into other areas of our life. And we find success in those ways. So let's first start with breaking apart that blessing, like I said, using the table grace as an example, because we're all about to experience that come Thursday, unless you're having to get together with other folks on a different day. But grace is usually a short prayer, right? It's usually a short one or a thankful phrase that's before or after the eating. And I say before or after the eating because in some cultures, they say one after the food too. Which I think it's like, wow, when I read that a few years back, I thought, after too, wow, this is good. I kind of like it, the bookends of these things. And the term grace most often refers to the Christian and other religious traditions, that they hold that grace and thanksgiving so that it imparts a blessing that sanctifies the meal. And in English, reciting such a prayer is sometimes referred to as saying grace, but they have other names for it across the world. So why do we say a blessing before we eat? I mean, there are people who say, well, you don't need to say a blessing. And that's, there we go. I love it. We've got an answer from the audience. Exactly. It's exactly why we do that. And on that simplest level, saying grace really means that you're offering thanksgiving, that grace comes from Latin, gratiarum actio, which is act of thanks. And to say grace before the meal is, among other things, to remember that it was God that provided your meal. So theologically, the act of saying grace is derived from the Bible. Jesus and Paul talk about it in Luke and Acts. But that practice reflects the belief that humans should thank God, who is the origin of everything. Now, in Judaism, before eating, a blessing is said based on the category of food that's being eaten. So you have categories such as, we've got the bread, we've got to think about the bread, the fruits that grow on trees, the fruits and vegetables that don't grow on a tree, the derivatives of the 5 grains, except for bread, because remember, that had its own blessing. And then the derivatives of grapes, and then you've got everything else. So I think it's interesting. They definitely have these segregations of prayer, and it's their way of understanding, breaking down the blessing, right? And in Japanese Zen Buddhism, you usually have those different traditions that prayers are said or chanted before meals. And those of you who have been here in the summertime, when we have the Buddhist monks, they have their own rituals, absolutely. But in the Japanese Zen, there's a prayer called the 5 reflections. All right, is anybody familiar with the 5 reflections? Oh, we got one in the corner, folks. Wow, good job, Nick. So the 5 reflections are done before and after meals in the Japanese Zen Buddhism tradition. And that includes putting one's hands together and saying, I humbly receive. And that's what you do before eating that meal. And then upon finishing a meal, the polite phrase is, that was the condition of an honorable feast. It's kind of nice, isn't it? I can't say the Japanese, so I go with the translation, but it's the honorable feast. And I always think of as Thanksgiving as that honorable feast. And that's why I thought it would be fun to bring this to light with all of you. What are the 5 reflections, and how might we use this in understanding our blessings more for this Thanksgiving, but also other meals that we may want to bring this understanding to? So before a blessing, we always have this opportunity to be spiritually alert, to await the divine hunches, the intuitive leads, so that we can take advantage of every opportunity. Be opportunistic with your blessings. You also can use it as an opportunity to embody prayer when you're accomplishing tasks, bringing that mindfulness to what you're doing. It's as if as you are washing the dishes or cooking the food or taking the dog out for a walk. It's a moment to pause and have prayer and see that you are in that moment with God. And so we do this when we want to prepare for life or a love affirming event. And as we prepare to make a meal, there's usually the whole, okay, I got to go shopping for the food. And as Nancy said, it's getting wild out there, folks, because Christmas has already come practically. So you have this understanding of we must harvest. So there's the harvesting of toys and gizmos and whatnots. But let's just, again, I'm taking it down to the food level because everybody understands food, right? We all have something that we love to eat. And so we go shopping for the food. Back in the old days, we had to go harvest the animals or harvest the crops in order for that to be done. But here we are out shopping for food. So how many of you actually say, you know what, I know I want to get this food because it's going to be what is in harmony with my body and what's in harmony with what needs to happen in this occasion with others. So there's an understanding of the harvest that we can bring that blessing to. So then we also have the putting away of the food. Now, many people would be grumbling. Oh my goodness, now I've got all these groceries unloaded from the car, haul them to the kitchen. And now I've got to find space in the fridge and the pantry and everything. So I would ask that you, instead of acting that way, we've all had that moment, haven't we? We've all had that moment. Instead of acting, as you're storing it, you're knowing that this food is going to be a blessing and a nourishment for you and your family and your friends. So as you're putting it away, you say, I feel so grateful. Look at this awesome parsley I got today. I encourage the gloat when this is happening. Look, honey, moments. And when we have these blessings of the food, we're like little squirrels. We've gone out and got our nuts, and now we're counting our nuts. And then we come to the place where we're planning the meal. How many people are eating turkey? I'm eating turkey too. Some of you are probably eating tofu turkey. I even have a friend who is eating lamb instead of turkey. So whatever you choose, but the traditional turkey, the big old turkey, is already defrosting in our fridge. So we're planning the meal, and there's this understanding of maybe other people are contributing things. So other people are contributing to the blessing. They're contributing to the creationary force that is going into this big moment, right? So then we're cleaning and we're cutting the food. Now, how many people hate kitchen prep? You know who you are. You know, you're like, I don't like this. This slippery turkey. What if I do this wrong and then they're going to yell at me at the table that it's over this or under that? And so you know who you are. I would encourage you instead to go, I'm going to clean and cut this food and I'm going to do the best I can and I'm leaving the rest. But there is this glorious understanding of cooking with your pots and pans. And that's something that you see in Ayurveda. If you study the Indian Ayurveda, the understanding of as you're heating up this food, as you're bringing in the elements of fire and air and all these things that are converging to make this meal. So there's an understanding of loving absorption that you're giving to this moment, to your actions, and ultimately to God. It's an embodiment of prayer. And you may, snag out those recipes of the favorite ones from the family and different family members' dishes that you're going to look forward to this particular year. But there's a loving absorption that can go into those moments if we wish. And yes, chucking the turkey, basting the turkey, all of these moments. But if we say, look at this glorious turkey, look what's happening. There's a magic to watching food unfold, again, with that creationary force, and ultimately celebrating tradition. Which brings me to the traditional Jewish dietary laws, because I find them fascinating. I really do, because most of those laws come from the book of Leviticus and also Deuteronomy. And those two books, they talk about the rules. The Hebrew word for the rules is kashrut. And I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's kashrut if you're me. And it's a variation of the word kosher, which means fit, proper or in accordance with the religious law. And note that the purpose of a kosher diet is not so much to maintain physical health as to maintain spiritual well-being. Ooh. Can I get a ooh? and to make even the act of eating a form of prayer. And according to Rabbi Donin, kashrut is a good example of how Judaism raises even the most mundane acts, the most routine activities, into a religious experience. What narrower minds look upon as a pitayun concern with a trifling kitchen matter is really an example of how Judaism elevates the mere physical satisfaction of one's appetite into a spiritual act by its emphasis on the ever-present God and our duty to serve him at all times. Isn't that beautiful? It's a remembrance that sometimes gets lost in translation as you think, oh my goodness, my cooking plan's gone wrong. Oh no, the oven wasn't on for the last few hours. Who's done that, right? This is why I have taken to cooking the turkey instead of letting other people do it because of the historically, you start to go, well, what can I do that would really help this move along? And yes, me cooking the turkey is what happens. So, and it's not undercooked, it's not overcooked, but you've all had that moment, haven't you? When you're like, I don't think it's done. What does the temperature say? All these conversations, right, that come with this of trying to reach some sort of cooking perfection. And maybe there's a dish that drops, or there's someone forgot a crucial item. Crucial. The cranberry sauce is not here. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. What are we going to do? So we have these opportunities. I call them opportunities for adaption and resilience. We're all going to get through this together. It's okay if those things are not there. But I've run out of butter. Isn't it interesting? As we're in this mode, we can be frantic, not just before a food blessing, but in other life blessing points too. When we're asking for a blessing, we get frantic because the dish has dropped. We feel something's been forgotten or something hasn't come into alignment. So that's why I want you to think as we work through this food stuff, because it's important, folks. It's very important. So as we have this, I would encourage you that as you're in this rhythm and harmony of the tradition and the motions, because for many of us, it's a well-known dance or song. I would encourage you to be in this rapturous state of mind as much as possible, to live in the world of the wondrous, even when people are saying, when are we going to eat? Stay in the world of the wondrous. Stay in the world of the wondrous. Be not disturbed and let it fall away with its weight. Have a carrot. Here's the veggie tray. And ultimately, when you feel that you've missed something crucial, you can deny the loss. You can deny the loss and know that it will show up in another way, perhaps on another day. Or maybe one of the people who's your guest, I don't know why, but I just thought maybe I should bring along, and there we have it. There's all kinds of stories throughout my own life and others that where they've been able to call that in around themselves and to show active faith and to not depend on the visible, that you have an invisible supply. My mother is an amazing person. I can say, well, I don't know if what to cook or something. I used to say this when I was first learning. I don't understand this. My mother could go in that cupboard in the fridge. Here's the magical meal. The absolutely magical meal that will probably never be recreated again because it was so fabulous. But it's because she knows how to work in the world of the wondrous. And I'm glad she's taught me as best she can to bring plenty out of lack or the limited belief that I may have. So as we have accomplished this cooking part, now we're going to sit down. Okay, folks, we're going to sit down at the table. Now you've got to round everybody up. Did they set the table? Probably not. Now there's an understanding of not only have we been in the creationary force of cooking, we also have to set the table. There's a preparing the table concept that is part of this blessing. And we're going to sit down at this table. We're going to get ready to say the table blessing. And it's like that moment of the happy birthday song. Perhaps you have your candle, it's all ready, and you're getting ready to make your wish to blow out that candle. And people are singing happy birthday. And it's this time of possibility. It's like this pause, and we're all waiting for you to blow your candle out, right? We're all quiet. Maybe someone says, oh, come on, blow it out. But most people are quiet and allowing, and you pause in that moment of reflection. Perhaps just to get your words of the wish just right, because you want to make sure the words are just right, right? And then it feels possible. There's almost like this place in you that says, yes, this wish is possible. And you're opening to the blessing. So in the moment of that table grace, you know what I'm talking about? That little pause where everybody's kind of ready. Maybe you've joined hands or maybe you haven't, but there's this little pause as someone's about to speak and say the blessing. There's a reverential part that I feel every time I sit down, whether it's for Thanksgiving or when it's just our regular table grace on any given day. There's that little pause moment, and it's one of my favorite parts of the blessing. And I wanted to share with you, as I said, I was going to share the 5 reflections. So let's go through those real quickly in terms of that, and maybe pay attention as I read through these as to which one or ones may stand out for you as a reminder of how you wish to connect with the blessings of your food or with your life or the events along your spiritual journey. So number 1, reflect upon how the food has come before you. How the food might have been grown, how it was prepared, and how it was brought to you as your meal. Reflect on your own work and the effort of those who brought us this food. Consider how nature's miracles and people's hard work have culminated in the creation of the food that you're about to enjoy. Two, reflect upon your virtues and conduct. This is a very Zen Buddhism thing to ask. Are you worthy of the meal? Most of us don't never think about that. Am I worthy of course I'm worthy of this meal. I made it. But it's a very Buddhist thing to ask. Are you worthy of this meal? And the way I take that is that you become aware of the quality of your deeds as you receive this meal. It's that I believe this is approximately a version of how you applied yourself to your work that day or to the power of good that's come before you. It's a little moment of reflection. Again, that's part of the second of the 5 reflections of Japanese Zen Buddhism. And as Buddhism reminds us for number 3, the most essential is the practice of mindfulness. Got to have your mindfulness if you're going to have your Buddhism, right? And observing whether your own spirit is pure like the food. Or how can you make your spirit pure like the food? A mind full of the 3 greatest vices are greed, anger, and ignorance. And usually if your mind is full of those as a pattern of behavior, it's very difficult for you to truly appreciate or savor the food or the blessing. So we focus only on the meal in front of us without rushing through it and without thinking any other thoughts, but staying in that pure intention and receptivity. And then 4, we appreciate this food, which sustains the good health of our body and mind, chewing slowly, enjoying every bite, usually talking around our food as everybody's making a comment or sharing things at the table. But good food is medicine, and it has a way of rejuvenating and purifying a fatigued body. Now, just being in those moments of joy with another person in a shared meal experience, feeling the nourishment from the food, but the nourishment from the fellowship. And 5, eat so you're able to pursue the objectives that you would like to achieve. What you would continue in your spiritual practice. And you accept this offering of food and be thankful for all and eat in gratitude. Because to make and eat good food, once the monk has meditated, is part of walking the virtuous path of Buddhism. So I don't know what stood out for you in those 5 reflections, but you may have noticed that one or more did resonate with you. as something that you do or that you're wanting to incorporate more. And these understandings can be applied to the other prayers and the other blessings in your life. Words and thoughts have tremendous vibratory force. A blessing holds the vision of manifesting God and gives gratitude for what is about to be received and what has already been received. And it also is about receiving as the blessings continue. It's Thanksgiving, and we're going to feast on those blessings. Food is just a physical representation of energy coming into us and through us, and we can feast on the blessings of work and family and service. And we can do that by first utilizing the spiritual natural law. Here in spiritualism, we love our spiritual natural laws, and one of them is the law of preparation. So true prayer means preparation, which is all that work you did to create this meal. And prepare yourself on a spiritual, energetic level to receive the blessing. And you put yourself into the vibration of success by preparing for your good, showing active faith and giving thanks for your divinely designed life, divinely created under grace in a perfect way. And you ultimately combine with what you notice. So if you keep on noticing beautiful things like, wow, this is so tasty. Oh, thank you so much for bringing this. All of those kinds of things that are heartfelt, beautiful, the way the pie looks, or however that unfolds. This is the best looking salad I have seen. You people aren't eating salad, are you? I can tell. The way the laugh was, I can tell you guys are like, I'm skipping the salad. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. But we combine with what we notice, that invisible contact of vibrational frequency with this beauty, and we can practice being open to see the path. You know, this Thanksgiving is an opportunity to be open to seeing the path. Maybe a rock shows up in that path, but I like what Michelangelo says to do. He was a sculptor, as many of you know, famous painter of the Sistine Chapel ceiling, and he was also a beautiful sculptor. And at one point, he chose this piece of marble because he could see what needed to come out of it. And he says, and here's the direct quote from Michelangelo: "Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it. I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." So what if that stone in the path, that rock in the path, is something that you need to see the angel in? See the angel in the marble, in the stone, and see what happens within yourself as you enter into that, to see the beauty of even that rock in the path. There's that law of expectancy that remember that pause that we have, but also this expectancy as we lead up to this particular date. But this law of expectancy says that the expectancy is the substance of things hoped for, or for the expectancy of the things that you fear. Now think of the blessings which seem so far off and begin to expect them now, under grace, in an unexpected way. For God works in unexpected ways. Definitely has in my life. And it has wonders to perform. And why is that important? Because a blessing labels the situation a success, that there is only one power, God, and that this meal, this person, this situation is here for my good and prosperity. So we've done the pre-work, the during work, and we accept the post-work, the after, because a blessing is a marriage of the soul and the spirit, or the subconscious and the superconscious mind. And it's a time to be at peace within oneself and with your fellow man and the whole world. A blessing is a verbal expression of what is centered in and around you and establishes that right thinking. And in order to create activity in blessings, you give blessings. Give blessings, be it a smile, a gift, a word, a deed, because a blessing salutes the divinity in you and around you. And I see the divine energy in these food and in these people gathered here. And so I encourage you to be a cheerful giver with this understanding of as you give, you shall receive. And why not make it a lifetime commitment? Sign up now for a lifetime commitment to ask God every day to bless you. That was my televangelist voice. No, but seriously, sign up for a lifetime commitment to asking God every day to bless you. That it's not just happening at the table, but it's happening at God's table, that you're going to sit at God's table, which is an amazing thing to think about. And while he's at it, you can ask him to bless you a lot, like a lot. And that super conscious mind is the God mind within each human, is the realm of perfect ideas. And so we ask and prepare for the feast, and we prepare for the next blessing. For every time we pray, we're engaging with the life force and the universe. Prayer force releases the latent energies. Really important, I'm pausing here. Prayer force releases the latent energies of our being and renews these energies with vitality and power. Chew on that for a while. But I'd like to leave you with a Thanksgiving blessing, and I hope that you carry it in your heart and feel the peace of connection with your soul. Our Father in heaven, we give thanks for the pleasure of gathering together for this occasion. We give thanks for this food prepared by loving hands. We open ourselves to recognize the divine presence at our table, Lord, and may this table overflow with thy abundant blessings. May we each give thanks for life and the freedom to enjoy it. May we each feel the God of plenty wipe out burdens, debts, and limitations so that we can step out into the arena of life. Let us always be aware that all gifts and blessings come from you, and that we may serve your heavenly will in everything we do. Amen. Many blessings to you all.